It is that time of the year again, and yes, I'm excited because today I'm packing for 2 full months of photography, filming, and safari adventures through Namibia, Botswana, and Zambia. I will travel to places I've already visited, like South Luangwa National Park in Zambia, but also new destinations that I've never seen. Especially, I'm very excited about the Central Kalahari Game Reserve, which is probably the wildest reserve in Botswana, I would argue, as well as some more common safari destinations like Kwai and Savuti in northern Botswana, in order to do photography, cinematic filming of wildlife, and also to capture as much as possible behind the scenes content during this trip. I have to pack, as you see, quite a lot of gear. So in today's video, I will show you exactly what I'm bringing with me for this very long trip to ensure I will not miss any opportunity. So let's start with my main camera bag, which is the f-stop Tilopa. I have an extra large ICU in here. This means the bag is entirely dedicated to photography. There is no space for extra gear out of my big lenses, and this will be my main luggage for the whole trip. Main body will be my Canon R3. It's not the newest camera, as it's currently being replaced by the R1, but it's still phenomenal. I don't see any need of switching from this to anything more performing. At 24 megapixels is not the best when it comes to cropping, but when it comes to fast action with bigger mammals, like the big cats that I will try to focus on during the trip, this is still a total beast. My second body will be the R5. Again, this is not the R5 Mark II, it's the original R5. I still find this one as well to be amazing. The autofocus is not as good as the R3, and I know that in the R5 Mark II, autofocus capabilities are better. If I'm not able to focus properly with the R5, the problem is me, it's not the camera. This one will be used for wider shots, for all the landscapes in both stills and videos. It has amazing video capabilities. There is a bit of a problem of overheating, but when it comes to film just short clips here and there, I never had any big issues, as I will only record like 30 seconds to a minute of clip, and then I will switch to photography, so that's perfect for this use. I will also bring this old Pro Hero, I think it's the Hero 9. This will be used as a dash cam or mounted around the vehicle just to capture some behind the scenes footage. Also, there is another camera that I'm gonna bring, which is the R5C that is currently here. So while these ones will be hybrid cameras that I will use mostly for stills and sometimes for video, the R5C will be dedicated to cinematic wildlife footage, not for behind the scenes, not for on-the-fly recording, just paired with a good telephoto lens to get this very high quality footage of our sightings. In terms of lenses, I will bring the widest I have, which is the 15 to 35, that again is this one here that I'm using to film this video with. Very good lens. It's probably gonna be the least used lens of the trip because I don't expect to do that much landscape, but being a 60 days long expedition, I don't want to go without at least a wide angle if any opportunity arises. The next one is a general purpose 24 to 70 f2.8 Canon RF. All the lenses I'm bringing are Canon RF lenses. Moving towards more interesting focal lengths, we have the 100 to 500 millimeters. I already discussed this one a lot. It's one of my favorite lenses because being able to go from 100 to 500, it covers almost all the focal lengths we need in wildlife photography. It has a variable aperture, and at 500 millimeters is f7.1, which is not super ideal for photography. This will be paired for most of the time with the R5C there. This is because being smaller and having this very wide zoom range, it will be perfect to film both on a tripod or handheld when it comes to track wildlife. Also, the aperture of 7.1 will be less of a problem with video because we cannot use very fast shutter speed with video, and so we will need to stop down in any case, even while using another lens. This will be the first trip with my brand new 100 to 300 f2.8 lens. I made a full video discussing why I chose to buy this very expensive telephoto. It comes at more than 10k euros, but the flexibility that this will give me will hopefully be kind of a game changer on this trip. The plan is to pair the 100 to 300 with the R5 for most of the time, so that I will also have the ability to crop a bit if 300 is not enough. I still cannot speak about the performance of this lens because I never really tried it. Aside of a bit of testing here around my home, I never really used it on a real safari scenario, but I expect a lot of good things from this one. Finally, my workhorse beast, the 600 f4. This one will go with the R3, and this I expect to use it a lot for tight portraits of animals. I think I will probably use 50-50, the 100 to 300 and the 600 f4. I will let you know after the trip how this combination will perform, but I think I am very much covered, having super high quality glasses that range all the way from 100mm to 600. Another very important piece of gear that I'm bringing is the 1.4 times teleconverter for the Canon glasses. It's not focusing. In the past, I mostly used this one on the 600 to get 840mm f5.6. I will probably do it as well on this trip a few times, but I think the main use now will be on the 100 to 300. That lens combined with the teleconverter, the 1.4 teleconverter, will result in a 140 to 420 millimeters, which covers an incredibly useful focal length range, and also it would still be at f4, which is faster than most zooms that are on the market. So I'm quite excited to try out this combination. On the tripods and support side of things, I will bring a dedicated video tripod, which is the one that is currently hosting my R5C. I will also have a lightweight carbon fiber Manfrotto tripod. Is a small model here. I don't plan to use it a lot, but again, I don't want to find myself in a situation where I might have some night photography opportunities or maybe time-lapse opportunities and I don't have a decent tripod to place my camera on. Also, I'll bring this very small one. This might take the GoPro or even one of my cameras here for some behind-the-scenes content or like mounted around camp or in the vehicle. We have a few mounts to rig inside of the vehicle, like this magic arm from Manfrotto and a suction cup mount. I will use this one to mount a dash cam inside of the vehicle so that I can record what's happening in real time while I am shooting and photographing the animals. Also, I am very excited about a new system that I found and I will try on this trip for the first time, to mount my fluid head outside of the door of the vehicle so that I can operate a film camera on a fluid head without the need of a tripod or any complicated mounting systems on the car. This is not ready yet. I am still working a bit on it, but I'm gonna publish a dedicated video over the next couple weeks as soon as I will try it on my 4x4 safari vehicle. So stay tuned and remember to subscribe to the channel not to miss any of the BTS content that I will publish over the next weeks. Since I'm gonna film all of this BTS content, I will have my main microphone, which is a Rode VideoMic NTG, currently mounted here. I'm using to record all of my YouTube videos. I will also take that with me on the trip. I will bring this spare. This is, I think it's a VideoMic Go, is a way cheaper model. I'm not using it that much as it's not as good as the VideoMic NTG, but I always bring it in my extra case just to have a backup in case the NTG will fail or if it will get destroyed for some reason. You never know what's gonna happen in the bush. I will also bring the Wireless Pro, also from Rode. It is a wireless microphone kit. I'm not sure if I will use it a lot because I try to record as much as possible with the shotgun mic, but it's nice to have an option in case it gets very windy or if I have to be far away from the camera. For filters, I'm gonna bring these Polar Pro variable ND filters. I have 2 to 5 stops, 82 millimeters, and also a 6 to 9 stop for the 82 millimeters. I'm also bringing a 77 millimeters 2 to 5 stops filter. This will go on the 100 to 500 when filming with the R5C. To keep all of this powered, I have to bring a bunch of batteries, especially because we will spend some periods of time completely off-grid. The first destination is the Central Kalahari Game Reserve, where for I think 12 days we will have zero access to any infrastructure. We will have to bring all our fuel, water, food, and of course we will need to be self-sufficient for batteries and recharging. So in this pouch I have one extra battery for the R3. I am fine with only 2 batteries for this one, as it's rare that I use more than one full battery in one day. These batteries are very good and very long lasting. For the R5 and the R5C, batteries are a bit small and they tend to last much less. So these small batteries here, I have 10 of them because I have 2 cameras powered with the same type of batteries, and it means I have 5 batteries for each camera. I will also bring a Goal Zero Sherpa 100 power bank, which I can charge from this port directly through the car, the 12 volt from the car, or I can connect to a solar panel when we are not running the car. And then I have 2 USB-C ports, 2 USB ports, and also one alternate current plug where I can plug my bigger battery chargers. Here I have my main set of memory cards. I have 6 of them and I like to use the Angelbird Pro 256 gigabytes. I don't like them to be smaller in size because then I have to swap cards too often and I have too many cards around with the risk of losing some, and also the risk of one getting damaged is higher. At the same time, I don't want the card to be like 1 terabyte or more because they are very reliable and I'm not really afraid, as in the past, that one card might fail. It's still a chance, but it's a very low chance. What I'm afraid of is one card getting lost or being missing, and it would be already a lot of data if it's 256 gigabytes, but if it's more, if it's like 1, 2, like I think they come at up to 4 terabytes, these cards. If I lose 4 terabytes in one single card, then it is a lot. So I like these ones to be not too big. I also have a bunch of SD cards and micro SDs. These are both for smaller cameras like the GoPro or the new camera that I still have not here that will take one SD card. So this case is very lightweight and it's very easy to carry around, up to 12 SD cards. I am carrying them just in case. I then have an accessory pouch here that is traveling with me. In here I bring this multi-charger. This is a very powerful one. It's from Sateki or Satechi, I don't know how to pronounce this. Yeah, it's like 180 watts of power. And this means I can quickly charge my laptop, cameras, and any other piece of gear that I need with 4 power outlets. So if we stop, for example, for a lunch in a restaurant or in a bar for a coffee, in like half an hour to an hour, I can quickly get my stuff charged. I have my trusted electronic dust blower. This is battery powered, and you can charge it via USB-C as well. Very useful to blow out all of the dust that we will find during the trip. In here I then have two 4 terabytes SSD hard drives. These ones are the place where I will offload my cards at first. When I plug everything to my MacBook Pro, that of course I will bring along as well, the data from the memory cards will be stored first in the SSD drives because it's faster. After this, I also have a bunch of hard drives that usually I don't bring with me. Like on a normal trip, I will just have the SSDs and it will be plenty of space. In this case, it's a bit different because we are out for 60 days and I want to make sure that I don't run out of space. So I will bring 4 hard drives that are 5 terabytes each. It means actually that I have 10 terabytes in a mirror copy. This will be actually 5 terabytes of space in double copy and 5 more in double copy, total 10 terabytes. The last few accessories are my Garmin InReach Mini that I always bring along, especially in these remote places like the Central Kalahari, where we'll probably not meet another car for a few days in a row. While it's good sometimes to be disconnected and off the grid, it's also nice to have the option to call someone to come and rescue us in case of problems. Another essential is a pocket knife. This is always with me, useful in a lot of situations, not only tied to photography, where I can use some of the tools to mount and unmount tripods and gripping stuff, but also when camping out in the wild, this will be always in my pocket. Last essential piece of gear is the headlamp, and it's essential to the point that I'm bringing two, so that if one will be broken or missing, I still have an option. And this is pretty much it. Now, if you're curious about how I can manage to pack all of these in my carry-on bags and take it on board on the plane with me all the way to destination, I made a full video about this that you can find up here in the corner. Also, don't forget to subscribe to this channel to make sure you will not miss all of the behind the scenes and the wildlife footage that I will film over the next few weeks. And I'll see you there.